President Emmerson Mnangagwa believes Zimbabweans must tap into the available local resources to spur growth of local agro-industries through value addition. He made these remarks during the commissioning of 3 new National Foods Limited manufacturing plants in Harare earlier today. Stay tuned to Newsplus as we cast a spotlight on how the new plants will contribute to the country's food security. Another day, another tragic accident and loss of more lives. A witness gives us details of the collision which occurred earlier today along the Chinoi-Chegutu highway. We give you an update from the second day of the trial of businessmen Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu, with a key witness in the $7 million fraud case telling the court that the two lied about purchasing goods for the presidential goat scheme. And in sport, the Zimbabwe Football Association has suspended referee Owen Manenda over a decision made during the Harare Derby. That story and more in our look at sports news. And now for a closer look at our stories making the headlines tonight. President Emmerson Mnangagwa commissioned 3 new production plants at National Foods today, a development he said will enhance the country's drive towards food security and industrial growth. The new pasta, biscuits and cereals plants are expected to cut imports, enhance local crop uptake and strengthen the country's agro-processing capacity. Our correspondent Ibn Mabunda attended the plant's commissioning.
Commissioning the 3 plants, President Emmerson Mnangagwa stated that the initiative was a key milestone aligned with Zimbabwe's broader agenda for industrial reconstruction and sustainable economic growth.
We are witnessing the commissioning of 3 major investments: the large-scale breakfast cereals extrusion plant, the biscuit manufacturing line, and the pasta facility. These projects are aligned with the Zimbabwe Industrial Reconstruction and Growth Plan.
He emphasized that the development of these facilities reflects the Second Republic's commitment to modernizing the country's productive sectors, boosting local manufacturing capacity, and creating jobs. Together, the 3 units are expected to significantly cut imports, enhance food self-sufficiency, and open up opportunities for local farmers.
What we are building as a country is a resilient, modern food industry that advances our SDGs, particularly Goal 1 and 2 on ending poverty and hunger. It is everyone's goal to ensure that nutritious, affordable food options are accessible to all Zimbabweans.
With 4,500 hectares of wheat contracted and a target harvest of 23,000 tons, Nut Food is strengthening its role as a key player in Zimbabwe's agro-value chain.
Through this approach, Your Excellency, we will be able to substantially reduce our import bill and redirect our foreign currency earnings to critical areas while promoting industrial growth and supporting our farmers.
The new cereal plant can process up to 800 tons a month using 15,000 tons of maize annually. The pasta line has capacity for 1,200 tons monthly, while the biscuit unit can produce 1,300 tons per month.
In assessing these investments, it became clear to us that local grain production was increasing at a very encouraging rate, and that our country was set on a path to become a net exporter of cereals. To us, it then became a logical step to rather process the cereals in Zimbabwe.
Nut Foods, the country's largest food processor, is already exporting to South Africa, Botswana and Zambia, and is looking to cement its presence in the region, leveraging its major shareholders Insco and South Africa's Tiger Brands.
Food security remains at the fore of Zimbabwe's economic agenda. Reporting for ZN Prime in Harare, I'm Ibn Mabunda.
Let's take a glance at some quick facts on the National Foods Expansion Project. Now joining us live for further insights into Nat Food's expansion is economic analyst Tapiwa Nashe Kasekera. Good evening, Tapiwa Nashe. How do you expect National Foods' increased local crop purchases and expanded production capacity to impact Zimbabwe's agricultural sector and economy?
Thank you. I believe the call of National Foods CEO to launch 22.5 million in production of cereal is a wonderful call, given that is what is lacking in our economy. If they manage to invest that money, I'm sure, given the estimation of 15,000 tons required for the production of cereal in terms of maize, that one will help, especially the supplier of agricultural proceeds, especially due to the fact that in terms of production of cereal, that's one of the factors of production which is required to produce the estimated amount of 8,000 tons of cereal. So I do believe that the call of the CEO is the right call that will help the local farmers in terms of their produces.
Tapiwa Nashe, can you talk to us about the effects that the reduction of pasta imports will have on Zimbabwe's trade balance and foreign currency reserves?
Thank you so much. I do believe that in Zimbabwe we spend a lot of foreign reserves in importing those cereal and pastures. So I'm sure an increase in locally produced cereal and pasture will help us to curb importation of cereal, which mainly affect the outflows of our reserves as a country. So that one will reduce the outflows of the foreign currencies and help us to build up enough foreign currency in our reserves.
So what is your analysis of job creation and contribution to food security from the National Foods multi-million-dollar investment in the new plants?
I do believe that an expanded production in terms of cereal in Zimbabwe is alluded by the CEO of National Foods, will help us to acquire unemployed labor in the market, because we all know that an increased production will accompanied with an increase in employment, which will help us to curb the unemployment rate in our country. And I'm sure that production will help us to increase food security, especially if the farmers finds the buyer of their imports, and if the company manages to be efficient and to produce a large quantity of cereal, because we have an existing market for cereal, we have an existing market of pastures. So I believe that in terms of food security, we have a potential to rise.
Thank you very much and have a good evening. Now, President Mnangagwa will commission the Trabablis Interchange tomorrow, a major infrastructure project aimed at improving the flow of traffic in the capital, Harare. Motorists will start accessing the $88 million interchange soon after its commissioning. The project aims to ease traffic congestion at one of the country's busiest and most strategic intersections. Construction of the Trabablis Interchange began in January 2022 and is part of the broader initiative to transform Zimbabwe into an upper middle income economy by 2030. The interchange is a key component of the North-South Corridor, a major regional trade route linking Zimbabwe with Southern African Development Community, SADC neighbors, and the rest of the continent. We shall be streaming the commissioning of this massive project live right here on ZTN Prime. Now, earlier today, the President gave a green light for the African peer review mechanism to assess Zimbabwe in August. The peer review mechanism, established in 2003 as an African Union voluntary governance self-assessment tool, promotes good governance, accountability, democracy, human rights, and sustainable development through periodic reviews by fellow African states. African Peer Review Mechanism Chief Executive Ambassador Marie-Antoinette Rose-Cadre spoke to journalists after meeting President Mnangagwa at State House earlier today.
We've had very fruitful engagements, and our mission here from the African Peer Review Mechanism, which is an African Union organ on good governance and democracy, we are here in Harare because the request of the government to have a review mission on economic governance and financial management. So my meeting with His Excellency, he's expressed a wish of the government to do this review mission. When we do review missions in member states, we involve all the stakeholders. So it's going to be a nationwide mission, not only in Harare, but in the different provinces that you have. And we'll be meeting with different communities and sectors of government, and as well as the civil society organizations. So it's going to be a very comprehensive targeted review mission. After the review, the recommendations will be made public, and then we can have a conversation about the recommendations.
Now on to another story. Government's quest to revamp energy generation to meet an envisioned industrialization boom is set to get the much-needed international boost through cooperation with one of Asia's largest electricity generating countries, Tajikistan. The plans were spelled out this Thursday when Vice President Dr. Constantino Chiwenga toured the Rogan hydropower project, accompanied by the Minister of Energy and Power Development, July Moyo, and local engineers from government and ZESA. Now, this country of approximately 10 million people boasts of a huge hydropower potential, producing around 95% of its electricity from hydro sources. And moving on, the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Media says it will soon engage the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation to discuss a possible downward review of car radio license fees, which are currently set at 30 United States dollars or the Zimbabwe gold equivalent per term. This follows the recent passing of the Broadcasting Services Amendment Act, which makes purchasing of car radio licenses mandatory, among other provisions.
Following the recent passing of the legislation, motorists are now mandated to purchase a car radio license before they can renew their vehicle license fees and car insurance. The fee is set at 30 United States dollars, and many motorists are finding it exorbitant. Chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Caston Mateo, says his committee has invited the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation to Parliament to discuss the possibility of reducing car radio license fees.
I can confirm to you now that we have invited ZBC to Parliament on the 8th of June, when Parliament resumes. I think it's 9th of June, when Parliament resumes. They're coming before our committee so that we can talk about their pricing. Now that this Broadcasting Services Amendment Act is now law, so we now need to interrogate as to what is a fair price that people have to pay.
The previous legislation was lenient. Motorists could get away with not paying car radio license fees if they did not have a radio waves receiver in their vehicle, or if they could evade inspectors. Failure to pay the fees did not result in accrual. As a result, a number of motorists did not pay radio license fees, with only 70% compliant with this regulation. Legislators are keen to find a solution that will encourage compliance without burdening motorists.
Given that they are also paying a very high Zinara fee, given that they are also paying very expensive insurance, so it will cost you now more than $100 inclusive per quarter to have the necessary licenses of your car. So we are calling ZBC to hear what is their plan. We have already spoken to them before, and now we want to hear what is the plan to ensure that residents, citizens, don't find themselves parking their cars at home.
During public consultation of the Broadcasting Services Amendment Bill, a number of motorists raised concerns about the necessity of car radio license fees payment and wanted the law removed. The national broadcaster, however, relies on those fees for its operations. Speaking before Parliament earlier this year, ZBC head of licensing revealed that 80% of the parastatal's revenue comes from licensing fees. He said the national broadcaster is looking forward to more revenue to improve their operations.
We all should actually be happy to say that the burden was just on a few that were compliant, a few that are law-abiding citizens who are currently paying for their radio licenses and TV licenses religiously. And now the law is coming in to make sure that there is fairness, because when laws are passed, I'm sure even you honorables, when you are passing the law and you are saying it's for everyone should comply, it then would become very unfair if a few are just complying and many are just going scot-free.
Ideas have also been proffered by some legislators to introduce one disc that reflects payment of car vehicle license, car insurance, and car radio license, instead of motorists having to display 3 discs on their car windscreens. The outcomes of the meeting slated for June 9 will determine if this will become a reality. Shira Munjenjema for ZTN News in Harare.
5,000 farmers apply for title deeds at one-stop centers. That story right ahead.
In the month of July 2025, the world will gather at one of nature's greatest wonders, Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. From the 23rd to the 31st of July 2025, Zimbabwe will proudly host the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Contracting Parties to the Convention on Wetlands, COP15. This is more than a conference, it's a call to action, running under the theme, Protecting Wetlands for Our Common Future. COP15 will unite 173 nations to address pressing issues, wise use of wetlands, biodiversity loss, climate change, and sustainable development. Together, we will explore innovative solutions, strengthen global commitments, and ensure wetlands remain vital for the current generation and those to come. Join us in shaping a sustainable future. COP15, Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, July 23rd to 31st. Protecting wetlands for our common future starts here. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife.
Stuck on you. Ooh, obsessed with you. I'm obsessed.
With Showmax, your favorite characters now follow you anywhere. Download it today and watch the best in local, international, and everything in between.
You're watching Newsplus. Thank you for staying with us. Now, at least 3 people are feared dead, while several others were injured after a head-on collision involving a Toyota Probox and a Lexus near Uzande Business Center along the Chinoi-Chegutu Road this afternoon. The driver of the Lexus is alleged to have encroached into the lane of an oncoming Probox that pirates along the highway. Villagers helped to retrieve bodies that were taken to Chinoi Provincial Hospital. Our Mashonaland West correspondent, Walter Nyamkondiwa, spoke to one of the witnesses at the scene of the accident.
Saka naitika tazoburitsa vanhu Namba yacho handichaziva kuti vakawanda sei because tanga tiri 2 chete vazosvika vamwe tabudisa zvitunda zvavo zviri mumotikari iwe Lexus abva uko kuna Musengezi ataura nadriver waambulance atovhatika ambulance pana Musengezi achimhanya nditi vatoti munhu ane mhepo saka pavazosvika pana paona vanhu vatofa vamwe 3 ndovafira pasport driver mumwe anga ari pakati apapo asi vamwe vacho vatatora vatabvisa vamwe vafira munzira vamwe vafira kuchipatara.
In another top story this evening, key witness in the Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu goat scheme fraud case, Dr. John Basera, took the witness stand and gave evidence regarding the case. Dr. Basera, who was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, said the accused persons once lied that they had purchased part of the goats.
Former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. John Basera, took to the witness stand and told the court that it was Moses Mpofu who signed all documents pertaining the tender and supply of goats in all the meetings.
In what capacity was Mike Chimombe involved in the issue pertaining to Abnectar?
So Mike Chimombe na Moses Mpofu vaiuya kuma meetings aiitwa one kusaina ma contracts as Mike Chimombe hana kusaina contract. It's not in the contract.
He also clarified on Chimombe's role in the company, citing that he was the decision maker.
Vachimombe ndo vaita sekunga ndo vatori muridzi wenyaya.
So from the few meetings that I attended with the Black Deck, it would appear as if Mr. Chimombe was the one who was like the
decision maker.
The decision maker
in the conversations.
Dr. Basera further told the court that the contract they signed with the company was for about $87 million and they were expected to supply 500,000 goats. He said they made an advanced payment of over 1.6 billion RTGS, which was equivalent to $7.7 million, which could have purchased 80,000 goats. After realizing slow progress in the project, Dr. Basera told the court that he made a follow-up with Mpofu, who lied that they had supplied over 32,000 goats to the holding pens, awaiting onward distribution to the targeted households.
I then suggested that my department, together with other departments, visit the holding pens so as to be able to make sure that the 32,500 goats were in those holding pens.
So timu yakaenda ikaita kuda pamwe mavhiki maviri matatu ndokudzoka nereport.
So the team went and they spent about a week or two and they then returned with the report.
Report yakandikatyamadza zvakanyanyisa. Yairatidza kuti kuma holding pens kune mbudzi dzasingapfuuri 3,000.
The key witness told the court that they discussed on solutions which included paying back the money.
Imwe option zvakare yatakapa seyambiro kune team yaita izvi, committee yaita izvi, yanga iri yekuti let us call for the guarantee.
So the other option which I suggested to the team was to call for the
guarantee.
ndo bank guarantee iya ndo zvatinoidira izvozvo kuti munhu akatadza kuperforma tonokola guarantee, bank guarantee, toti bhanga munhu wenyu uyu kana kuti nhubu yenyu iyi reganishandise vara rekudaro yatadza kudelivera, imi makavati vachadelivera asi havana kudelivera, so ndo zvatinoshandisira bank guarantee izvozvo.
Dr. Basera also told the court that the contract was later terminated. You'll continue leading evidence this Friday. For ZTN Prime, I'm Kimberly Chimbalanga in Harare.
Now, over 5,000 farmers have approached the one-stop centers around the country in a bid to acquire title deeds. The One-Stop Center Initiative for Title Deeds was launched by the government earlier this year to ease the process of land administration. About 700 farmers have opted for mortgage arrangements to ensure that they get their title deeds. Speaking on the sidelines of the Agricultural Research Symposium, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Obet Chiri, said that the initiative will go a long way in simplifying the process of acquiring title deeds.
Farmers can now get their title deeds anywhere from the comfort of their homes, because the process is now largely online. The filling in of the data form can be done anywhere, and then the verifications can be sent via WhatsApp, via the emails to the sender, and that can be processed without the farmers traveling on the way to Harare. We also have now have the banks. We have now come in, so the process can also as well start by a farmer approaching their banks. In that bank, of course, we work with 5 banks: AFC, ZB, CBZ, POSB, and FBC. We also had quite a number of cash farmers who were paying for their deeds. I think in excess, the last count, were over 20 deeds that had already been delivered.
We now take you to Beitbridge. A 28-year-old customs clearing agent based in Beitbridge, believed to be part of the many suspects running dubious vehicle import syndicates, has been arrested for defrauding a Harare-based civil servant of $15,700 in a botched vehicle import deal. Evans Nzara of Kwalu, one suburb in Beitbridge, was arrested in January for a crime committed in May last year. Now, this man had been hiding in South Africa until he ran into a trap this year and got arrested. Nzara is accused of taking $15,700 from Hamufari Mugauri on the pretext that he was going to import a Toyota Hilux single cab 2014 model for him before taking off. He was dragged before Beitbridge resident Magistrate Takudzwa Gwazemba, charged with fraud, and was not asked to plead to the charges. He was remanded to 24 June for a possible trial, pending further investigations by police. Lost and livelihoods threatened, local leaders, farmers, and environmental agencies are rallying together to prevent future disasters. Today, a Fire Awareness Week was launched. Fungai Lupande compiled the following report.
Mazoe district has been devastated by Veld fires in recent times. Not long ago, Veld fires claimed the lives of 5 people there, a painful reminder of just how dangerous an uncontrolled fire can be. But this Thursday, Southwell Farm in Ward 34 hosted the official launch of Provincial Fire Awareness Week with a call to action, awareness, and accountability. Southwell Farm has started the training with boundary fire guards and trained firefighting teams, all spreading the word of preparedness. The Environmental Management Agency is stepping in, bringing education and enforcement to the forefront. Their message: prevention starts with everyone.
Stipulating the need for us to have stiffer penalties and to ensure that everyone who perpetrators of road fire incidences or offences are brought to book through the chiefs, through the local villages, and all those who are involved in the security sector. Those who are found not wanting to help or assist when there is a road fire incident are sorely needed to assist, and those who are not found assisting will be prosecuted.
With the dry season approaching, Mazwe farmers are on high alert, but also better prepared. And as awareness spreads, so too does the resolve to protect our land.
You are watching Newsplus.
The Rural Electrification Fund, REF, is inviting bids from reputable bidders for the following tenders. Tender number 1, REF Domestic 1605-2025 Domestic Tender. Item description: construction of perimeter walls and guardrooms for various REF provincial stands. Total quantity 3. Closing date and time 11 July 2025 at 10 a.m. Tender number 2, REF Domestic 1605-2025 Domestic Tender. Item description: provision of vehicle tracking services for REF vehicles. Total quantity 1. Closing date and time 27 June 2025 at 10 a.m. Tender number 3, REF Domestic 1605-2025 Domestic Tender. Item description: supply and delivery of biogas scrubbers and cleaning equipment. Total quantity 1. Closing date and time 27 June 2025 at 10 a.m. Tender number 4, REF Domestic 1605-2025 Domestic Tender. Item description: supply and delivery of a 32-seater Toyota minibus. Total quantity 1. Closing date and time 27 June 2025 at 10 a.m. Bidding documents are available on the electronic government procurement system egp.pras.org.zw. Bid submission shall also be done on the EGP system not later than the dates and times stated above. The site visit for construction works for perimeter walls and guardrooms tender shall be as follows: Matabeleland North Province, Lupane, 19 June 2025 at 11 a.m. Mashonaland Central Province, 24 June 2025 at 11 a.m. Mashonaland West Province, 25 June 2025 at 11 a.m. Rural Electrification Fund, Magetsi Kumusha, Amagetsi Ekaya.
You're watching Thursday's edition of Newsplus this evening. Now, Deputy Minister of Mines Dr. Polite Kambamura has warned illegal miners from risking their lives by entering into dangerous zones. He said this after visiting Pigstone's Peerless Mines in Chegutu following an accident that had killed 4 illegal miners on Wednesday. This incident occurred when a group of approximately 40 illegal miners accessed the restricted area by bribing a security guard and proceeded to blast the walls of the open pit. This compromised the structure, resulting in 5 miners submerged by the debris.
Hatifarire kurasikirwa neupenyu. Tinotarisira kuti panocherwa zvicherwa, pacherwe zvicherwa mune zvakanaka zvisina njodzi. Asi nyaya yatika panapa ndeyekuti vanhu vauya ava vasi vashandi vepano. Vanhu vabva kwavanga variwo vasingazikanwi pakambani ndobva vaita zvekuya vachiba usiku. Saka toda kukurudzira vanhu vane mitiro iwoyo kana kuti vacheri vedu vechidiki kuti vasapoti vachipinda munzvimbo dzine vacheri vakuru kana kuti vari large scale vari kuchera, nekuti hurumende iri kurarama negoridhe. Saka toda goridhe rakachena risina ropa revanhu. Saka toda kupa yambiro kuti vanenge vabatwa vachiita izvi zveunhubu zvakadaro, mutemo nemitongo yavo ichange yakati kurei kuti zvisarambe zvichiitika.
We now take a look at what's happening in the world around us. A South African woman convicted of kidnapping and trafficking her 6-year-old daughter has been sentenced to life in prison, along with her 2 accomplices. The jail terms for Raquel Kelly-Smith, her boyfriend Jacqueline Apollis, and their friend Stevino van Rins come more than a year after Jocelyn Smith mysteriously disappeared outside her home in Saldanha Bay near Cape Town. Now, despite a highly publicized search for the girl who vanished in February 2024, she is still yet to be found. The sentencing follows an 8-week trial that captivated South Africa, with witnesses and prosecutors making a number of shocking allegations. Now, aid groups have warned that escalating violence in northern South Sudan is severely hindering rural populations' access to medical care, intensifying the strain on one of the world's most fragile health systems. And amid rising cholera cases and soaring maternal mortality rates, the World Health Organization ranks South Sudan among nations with the weakest health infrastructure, a crisis now compounded by attacks on clinics, dwindling aid, and displacement from clashes in Upper Nile state.
South Sudan is experiencing a lot of challenges: disease outbreaks, we have flooding, we have displacement, and now we have the clashes happening in Upper Nile. And all these are leading to increased needs, increased demand for medical activities and medical services. So it is not time to cut funding for South Sudan. We urge the donors and other international community agencies to come in and support South Sudan.
The U.S. government has ordered its embassies and consular sections worldwide to pause scheduling new interviews for student visa applicants, as it is considering requiring all foreign students applying to study in the United States to undergo social media vetting. The U.S. government had earlier imposed some social media screening requirements, which were largely aimed at returning students who may have participated in protests against Israel's actions in Gaza. Now, the freeze may impact thousands of international students and potentially contributes to declining international enrollment in the U.S. higher education institutions. Now, moving on, thousands of children are dying of starvation in the Gaza Strip. This was said by Riyad Mansour, Palestine's permanent observer to the United Nations, breaking down in tears as he described the desperate conditions facing children in the war-torn enclave. Speaking at a meeting of the UN Security Council, Mansour said since the breakdown of the ceasefire in March, more than 1,300 children have died in Gaza, with over 4,000 others injured.
Children are dying of starvation. The images of mothers embracing their motionless bodies, caressing their hair, talking to them, apologizing to them. It's unbearable. How could anyone?
According to the War Child Alliance, nearly half of Gaza's children are suicidal. They ask, why didn't I die with my sister, my mother, my father? Not out of extremism, but out of unbearable grief. I wonder if any member of this council has ever met a 5-year-old child who no longer wants to live. Let alone imagined a society in which so many young children feel this way.
It's time for us to take a look at what's happening in the world of business.
The future is now, and it's powered by artificial intelligence. Zim Papers proudly presents the 2025 AI Conference, a groundbreaking event happening on the 30th of May in Mutare at Manicaland State University of Applied Sciences. Join leading AI experts, researchers, innovators, and institutions already applying artificial intelligence to solve real-world challenges, from media and agriculture to education and finance. Whether you are a business stakeholder, a tech enthusiast, a student, or simply curious about how AI is changing our world, this conference is for you. Don't miss this opportunity to learn, connect, and be part of Zimbabwe's digital future. For marketing and exhibition, contact Tendai Mberebe on 0772 671 488. Zim Papers AI Conference 2025. Advancing innovation, empowering Zimbabwe.
It's time for the main event. This is incredible. He has written it, and the dream lives on. I cannot believe it.
Stay connected to DSTV this April and May and get all the football finals you want.
In our first business story, Mauritania's Sidi Ould Tah has been elected president of the African Development Bank. Tah defeated Zambia's Sam Maimbo and 3 others in a third-round vote in Ivory Coast. South Africa supported Bajabulile Swazi Chabalala, who exited in the second round. Tah succeeds Akinwumi Adesina, who steps down after serving 2 terms. The AFDB presidency is influential in Africa as the bank plays a key role in financing African economies. Now, in 2024, the AFDB approved $11 billion in new operations, its highest ever. Our correspondent Africa Moyo is in Ivory Coast with more details.
The former head of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, Badia, Dr. Sidi Ould Tah, has been elected the new African Development Bank president. He beat 4 challengers, namely Dr. Samuel Munzele Maimbo of Zambia, Ms. Bajabulile Swazi Chabalala of South Africa, Mr. Hot Amadou of Senegal, and Mr. Toli Abbas Mahamat of Chad. He takes over from Dr. Adesina, who led the bank to glory in the last 10 years. Dr. Tah will officially assume office on September 1. He received 76.18% of the vote, followed by Dr. Munzele, who got 20.6% of the vote, and Mr. Amadou, who got 3.55% of the vote. The results were announced by Ms. Niale Kaba, the Minister of Planning and Economic Development for Côte d'Ivoire and Chairman of the African Development Bank. Mr. Maimbo has already congratulated Dr. Tah on his victory. Chairman of the African Union Commission has also sent his congratulatory messages. Reporting for ZTN Channel 294 in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, I'm Africa Moyo.
Meanwhile, the African Development Bank has projected that Africa will attract $100 billion in remittance inflows this year. This comes as the formal remittance market is expected to surge to $283 billion by 2035, 3 times the 2023 figure, offering countries such as Zimbabwe a massive opportunity to deepen domestic resource mobilization and stimulate inclusive growth. In its 2025 African Economic Outlook, AEO, launched during the bank's annual meetings in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire this week, the AFDB noted that remittances and business formalization are key pillars for unlocking Africa's development potential. And still on business, after years of civil war and crippling Western-imposed sanctions, Syrians are now cautiously optimistic about their future after the U.S. recently lifted sanctions on their country. And earlier this month, the U.S. announced the lifting of sanctions on Syria, sparking hope for millions of Syrians who have struggled to survive amid deteriorating economy. Syrian business owners, in particular, are daring to hope for easier transactions as they believe the lifting of sanctions will significantly ease the pressure on the country's economy.
قبل كان محدود الاستيراد بعدة أشخاص، فهن الأشخاص هدول عندهم جنسيات أجنبية ممكن إنه يستخدموها بموضوع الاستيراد، بحيث إنه إذا طلب أوردر أو إذا طلب فاتورة ممكن تنزل على البلد باسم شخص أوروبي. هلا اليوم صار إن شاء الله صار فينا مباشر إنه ننزل البضاعة لهون بجودة أحسن وبسعر أحسن. عم نجي لهون إصابات للأسف مزمنة مثل هبوط قدم، مثل للأسف عمى أو او اصابات بدنيه يعني تكون بمناطق حساسه بجسم الانسان. فهلا ان شاء الله نحن كهذا المحل ان شاء الله عم نخدم قد ما فينا للاشخاص.
كيف انت تحول وشو الطريقه، وكان عندك عقوبات وعندك مشاكل بموضوع الدولار والتصريف، فهي القصص كلها فيما بعد اثرت بالغائها، فكله كان له اثر ايجابي، تغيرت الامور كثير للاحسن. المواطن اكيد لمس تحسن وصار عنده قدره شرائيه احسن ليجيب كميه اكبر من المواد لبيته.
Now, the sanctions, which have been in place for years, have long been viewed as a significant obstacle to Syria's economic recovery and post-war reconstruction. With their removal, experts believe the effects will ripple across multiple sectors.
رفع العقوبات سينعكس بشكل مباشر على موضوع قطاع التأمين، تحويل السيولة من وإلى سوريا عن طريق المصارف عن طريق نظام السويفت، وممكن أن ينعكس على الحوالات الواردة للمواطنين السوريين من خارج سوريا، ممكن ينعكس على ضخ السيولة داخل سوريا من قبل المستثمرين وبالتالي تشغيل استثمارات جديدة ومنشآت جديدة وبالتالي تشغيل يد عاملة.
Up next is entertainment. Matobogo's fashion showcased the successful transformation from a cultural heritage to contemporary and avant-garde outfits at the Friendship Bench Hub. Partners were Bulawayo Gallery, Fashion Council of Zimbabwe, and the German Embassy. Now, the creatives that coordinated this event were Joyce Chimanye, Yoli Ngwenya, and Nka Malunga. Now, looking at what's happening in music, Gemma Griffiths has just released a new visual album titled Gemma the Album, which she says is 10 years in the making and is a love letter to Harare, to the city hustle, to heartbreak, faith, joy, and every beat that has shaped her. She also says the album is both a sonic memoir and cultural document. And some of the tracks feature voices like Feli Nandi and Nati O and are all available to watch on YouTube. And still on entertainment, European Film 2025 Festival, Zimbabwe is loading. Mbare Art Space will be the place to be from 30 May to the 1st of June. It will be a weekend of films, culture, and celebration. Now, entrance is free and there will be a discussion on adapting to artificial intelligence in the Zimbabwean creative space. Eurofilm will also be in Bulawayo at Amakosi Cultural Center from the 6th to the 8th of June. Stay tuned to Newsplus for updates on sport still to come.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J. All right.
Put your seatbelt on.
Pardon?
Look up.
Whoa!
Okay.
Okay.
I'm Ollie J, your host and captain for this technological voyage.
They say that curiosity killed the cat. Well, we say curiosity makes you swipe.
Okay, there's a real big one. Oh, okay.
Okay, take the elevator.
Okay, that one
look
came
up,
out of...
Look up.
From some tech-tastic adventures to some out-of-this-world Zimbabwean inventions to the scientifically mind-boggling, we show it all.
What we're looking at is 2 charging ports to charge the vehicle.
And things get electric. Catch Swipe right here on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
The Zimbabwe Football Association has suspended referee Owen Manenda over a decision made during the Harare Derby. The association said the decision was made after careful evaluation of the match played at Rufaro on 18 May 2025. They say a critical officiating error was made and it significantly influenced the outcome of the game. This conclusion, Ziffa said, was based on the match commissioner's report, which highlighted a decision made by the official that contravened the expected standards of performance in top-flight football. Now, Highlanders are hoping to return to winning ways when they clash with their biggest rival Dynamos at Rufaro on Sunday. Bosso have lost back-to-back matches and are desperate to turn the tables against a worse-off Dembare. More in the following report.
Highlanders will make the trip to Rufaro Stadium for a date with Old Foes Dynamos and a game neither side can afford to lose on Sunday. Arguably the biggest fixture in the PSL, the Battle of Zimbabwe comes at a time when both teams are looking to placate their demanding fans after fluttering to deceive in recent games. Last season, Highlanders did the double over Dynamos and will be hoping to make it 3 in a row against a side struggling near the bottom of the table. Form may not count for much in this encounter, but both teams come into the match looking to break winless streaks. Dynamos have gone 8 matches without victory, but Kaindu is focused on his own side and expects an open attacking game on the day.
You could see the intensity even in training, how everybody is pushing for us to get the maximum points. We know that is not going to be an easy game. Dynamos have been strong year in, year out. Probably this season they haven't started well, but you never take anything away from them. They're a team that can rise at any time, and them playing also at home gives them an advantage.
Kaindo admits that his side was not at their best in their 1-0 defeat to Herentals last week, but has noted an eagerness from the squad to make amends this weekend.
Could see also the effort that everyone is putting in, and this week you could tell that everyone is geared up and everyone knows that this is just not a game. This is a big game. I think there is a lot at stake, and you could see the concentration. You could see how everyone is putting in maximum effort just for them to be part of the team against Dynamos.
Despite a few setbacks, Highlanders have been the most consistent of the traditional giants this season, while Caps United and Dynamos have struggled for form. And while some say the fixture has lost its spark, Kaindu still believes it holds massive significance.
If you look at the past, these games have come at a time when both teams are doing well, but not taking away anything from both teams, regardless of their position. I think this is a different game. This is totally a different game. There is a lot at stake just for you to pick up those maximum points.
The matchup will bring the curtain down on a blockbuster weekend in the league that also features a top-of-the-table clash between Moors and Scotland. Dynamos and Highlanders will have a 2 p.m. kick-off to allow time for players who have been selected for national duty time to link up with the Warriors.
Ngoni plays host to the Premier Soccer League's newest rivalry, pitting Moors and Scotland. For Moors head coach Lloyd Mutasa, not much has changed ahead of the tie as he just takes it like any other game. We get more in the following report.
Sends a quick one in.
Moors head coach Lloyd Mutasa is emphasized on the two sides here rise from the lower leagues into the top flight, where they find themselves fighting not just for survival but also for supremacy. Mutasa believes his side has fought hard to be where they are today, despite Scotland being a stumbling block.
I think we did fight so hard to try and be where we are right now, and Scotland became the stumbling block. But glory and honor be to the Almighty who made it possible to be where we are today, and because of that, I think that's where the rivalry came from.
Mutasa says it would be an understatement to refer to the clash as the biggest test for the season, as they've had tough opposition in recent times, and give credit to his judges who have done well lately.
I don't want to believe so. I think the youngsters are punching above their weight and getting this one. I think we got a real chase. You know, you look at FC Platinum, they are no easy. It's not. It wasn't an easy game. You look at Simba Bora, it wasn't as easy. Even the fixture that we went, the previous fixture against the Greenfield, it wasn't an easy game. You look at Manika, then look at Chowan, you look at even Chicken Inn. They were all difficult matches. So to say probably this one is the most difficult match is probably an understatement.
For Mtasa and these charges, the plan remains the same, as they are not putting themselves under much pressure, as they are working towards attaining the 40-point mark so that they avoid the drop.
Not really that I'm looking over my shoulder in respect of who is coming behind me, but you know, we have said we should try to reach the 40-point mark at the earliest time possible so that we get out of the relegation puzzle, and probably after getting out of the relegation puzzle, maybe next time when you come, probably we might have different targets. But as of now, as long as we are still below 40 points, we're still fighting for relegation.
The sides have made strides as they are amongst the early pace setters, and their encounter at Ngoni Stadium on Saturday promises to be an exciting one.
Top Zimbabwean professional golfer Scott Vincent will finally be honored by Virginia Tech, who have named him among 7 athletes to be inducted into their Sports Hall of Fame. According to reports from Blacksburg, Virginia Tech will enshrine 7 new members into the school's Sports Hall of Fame on Friday, September the 19th. Now, the 7-member class increases the Virginia Tech Sports Hall of Fame to 240 members. The 7 new members will be recognized during halftime of the Hokies' American football game against Wofford on Saturday, September 20th at Lane Stadium. Vincent was on a golf scholarship at Virginia Tech from 2011 to 2015. And that wraps up our Thursday evening bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Good night from myself and the crew behind the scenes. I'm Wazanai Sansoli.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.